Welcome. It's Facts You Don't Know. If it's your first time here and you want to find out new facts that will definitely make you smarter and more, well, and first make sure to subscribe and activate the notification bell so you don't miss anything.
They gave their daughters up for adoption, but never imagined it would end like this. Julian and Cassandra were very young boys when they made the painful decision to give up their 7-month-old twins, Erica and Julieta. Actually, the original idea was to leave them with an aunt of Cassandra so that they could visit them and have a closer contact with them. But they soon realized that this woman did not have a kind heart and rather wanted to hold on to the kids so that she could blackmail them with favors and get to give them whatever money they had. The family on the part of Julian, it was not better. They believed that they had sought his own ruin by not finishing his engineering studies and starting a family with an uneducated small-town girl. Julian's parents had died, and Cassandra's just kicked her out when they found out about her pregnancy. Young and inexperienced, with a giant responsibility on their hands and without any kind of family support, they made a decision that would seal their lives and those of their daughters. They decided to give them up for adoption to a couple who could not have children and give them the opportunity to have a better life. For weeks, they searched and searched for a partner who was well off and interested in adopting a baby. They did not want to go to an orphanage for fear that their kids would be abused and suffer more than what they were going through with them. Finally, one afternoon, Cassandra saw a young couple a little older than her in the waiting room of a fertility clinic. They looked dejected and very sad, listening to the conversation they had. She learned that they were both infertile and that there was no chance of conceiving children. Cassandra, along with her little ones, followed them secretly and could see that the man was driving a modern and elegant car. She took a taxi and followed her home in an affluent area with well-kept gardens and playgrounds for children. He pretended to be a poor person looking for some food and knocked on Juan and Elena's door. He could see that they were a couple with an excellent standard of living, as well as being very kind people, because even though they'd received devastating news that day, they did not hesitate to help him and offer him anything he needed. Cassandra asked for some food, to which Juan and Elena did not refuse and invited her to their table, in addition to giving her rice, pasta, and other things to take home. They were also very attentive and loving to the twins. Juan offered to take Cassandra and the drinks to his house to prevent Juan from finding out the exact location of the house. He asked him to leave her a few blocks earlier in a fairly poor commercial area. They kindly said goodbye, and Juan left him his number in case he needed help with his daughters. At that moment, Cassandra made the decision. That night, Cassandra spoke with her husband, Julian, told him everything about what had happened and what she thought about it. Julian decided to go to Juan and Elena's house to check what he had told his wife. And as soon as he saw what kind of people they were, he was convinced too. They decided to pack the few belongings of the twins in a backpack and left them in front of Juan and Elena's door with 2 letters, one in which they explained why they had decided to give them their twins and everything they needed to know, such as age, weight, the food they liked, and how they'd been taking care of them. The other was a letter for the twins, who were to deliver it when they were ready to learn the truth. Juan and Elena were stunned. They didn't understand how this had happened, but they were in a certain way grateful to Cassandra and Julian, who had given them a gift of their lives. They also accepted it without trying to contact them. They decided to hire a lawyer who would take care of all the legal paperwork and show their family that they had been secretly conducting an adoption process. Erica and Julieta grew up to be bright and promising young people with great goals in music and engineering. They both loved their parents and were happy with their lives. However, they felt that something was wrong with them. For their part, the twins' real parents hadn't been so lucky in life from work to work. Julian could find no way to improve his situation. He had no malice to guard against the consequences of bad business, which is why he continually ended up in hospitals and full of debt. Cassandra had to resort to prostitution and petty jobs several times to survive. She continually cried for her daughters, as she had no way of contacting them. Ever since she discovered that Juan and Elena had moved to another city without leaving any clues. The point came when Julian and Cassandra decided to flee from the place where they lived. since the collectors threatened to kill them if they didn't pay his debts. Upon arriving in the new city, Julian made a firm decision not to make any more mistakes and to settle for a humble job that would give him a secure livelihood. He found a job in a waste collection company, and Cassandra found a job as a maid. Upon arriving at the house they had been entrusted to work, Cassandra was speechless, where he recognized Helena. But he'd not recognized him, so he decided to work without raising suspicions, hoping to meet his daughters. For his part, Julian had recognized Juan as the owner of the company, who was with his daughter Erica, taking a tour of his company to teach her all the facets of the business, since he was preparing his engineering thesis, passing in the company waste collection. The twins' parents never imagined that their daughters would be so successful in life, given their humble origins as parents who were visibly unable to thrive. Day by day, Cassandra tactfully tried to get closer to the twins, leaving their rooms spotless, preparing delicious lunches, and telling them stories of everyday life to amuse them. Julian was also trying to get closer to his daughter, Erica, explaining experiences he had in engineering-related jobs. In this way, the months passed. In reality, Julian and Cassandra did not want to reveal the truth to the twins, since their adoptive parents had not done so, and had not delivered the letter either. They felt quiet pride and were happy for them. What they didn't expect was the twins' suspicion. Without anyone telling them anything, they discovered the truth. One day when Cassandra was telling them one of her stories while preparing lunch, Julieta asked her what music was her favorite. A little embarrassed, Cassandra replied that she'd never been able to explain it, but that she'd always liked music in which the violin was played. Julieta was moved because that was the instrument she had specialized in and told her she would play for her. Cassandra blushed as she sat next to Erica to listen to her daughter perform. When Julieta finished the piece, Cassandra was crying with pride, but she excused herself, saying that the music always moved her a lot. However, Julieta and Erica could see that there was something else, but they let it pass. At the company, Erica asked Julian things a little more personal and soon found out that he was Cassandra's husband, as he was always waiting for her to come home together after work. It didn't take long for the twins to notice the similar courses they shared with these people and how good they were to them, as well as the strange feeling when they were together. They also began to realize how little they physically resembled their parents and the subtly condescending treatment they received from their grandparents and other adoptive relatives. One night when Julian was waiting for Cassandra to return home, the twins decided to put an end to their doubts. The twins invited Julian and Cassandra to have coffee at their house, taking advantage of the fact that their parents were not there. Little by little, they diverted the conversation towards parenthood and asked if they had ever had children. Julian became very nervous. Cassandra's tears were almost coming down. A bit run over, the couple ended the conversation and quickly left the house. At that moment, the twins found out and decided to talk to their parents. That Saturday night, the twins called Jose and Helena to the living room and decided to be safe but calm when they told them that they knew the truth, that they were adopted and wanted to know if Juan and Cassandra were their real parents. At first, their parents were funny and they asked them where they got these ideas from and completely denied everything. But then the twins began to ask why there were no pictures of them newborn or Elena's pregnancy, and why their grandparents always seemed to treat them differently from their other cousins, or because everyone in the family had brown or black eyes and they were green, like Cassandra. Finally, Julieta took out a certificate stating that they'd been adopted from an orphanage that they never heard of, because they'd gone there and they were told that they'd never had girls registered with those names. Helena burst into tears and Juan left the room to get something. He returned a few minutes later with a yellowish letter in his hands. The twins opened the letter and could only cry and hug each other when they finished reading. The letter said, "Our beautiful loves, we know that we never wanted to abandon you. We are Julian Montiera and Cassandra Lopez, your real parents. We saw ourselves in the terrible need to deliver Juan and Elena to them because we have no way to feed and care for them, and we had fear that something terrible would happen to you if you continued living with us in an environment where we have no one to help you. You deserve a wonderful life that we cannot provide you right now. But have faith that things will get better, and that when we can give you a good quality of life, you can decide if you want to live with us or visit us and call us uncles. We hope you can understand us and forgive us. We chose Elena and Juan because we knew that they would love and care for you just as we would. In a better situation, since they could not conceive children with a lot of love and repentance, Julian and Cassandra. Juan and Elena decided to call the twins' real parents to clarify everything. They apologized for not letting them know when they moved out of town, as their selfish wishes were that the truth never be known and that Erica and Juliet be their kids forever. Julian and Cassandra hugged their daughters and asked them for forgiveness, but the twins were at peace. Upon learning the truth, they decided to continue living with their adoptive parents and visit their biological parents every week. Cassandra no longer worked as a domestic worker, but dedicated herself to being a preschool assistant, and with her salary and Julian's, they managed to buy a modest house in which she adapted a room for the kids. And in that house, together in the living room, was a framed photo of the twins wearing graduation caps and smiling, along with their biological and adoptive parents. Below, there was an inscription that said, "Love is greater than forgiveness." Thanks for visiting us. If you liked the video, please like it and share it with your friends. Until next time. Thanks for watching. Please like and share the video in social networks. We'll be right back to you as fast as we can.